I think we've got most people on the line. So what we might do is make a start. First of all, welcome everyone. I'm Amanda from Linked Tourism, one of Australia's leading sales and marketing and PR agencies. And we've proudly represented Colorado for the past 4 years. So thank you for joining us on this first of six webinars focusing on the great state of Colorado. You'll also notice just below me, I think, or above me maybe, depending on what you're looking at, I've got Amber Wilson from Rocky Mountaineer on the line. So we're going to hear from Amber a little later on to tell us what's new with her Rocky Mountaineer company. And we're also going to hear from Jennifer Bartlett Enriquez from Durango. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them up in the chat box and we'll try and answer them at the end of the presentation. If we run a little longer and we're out of time, then I will personally email you. So just for fun, I'm going to put up a really quick poll. I'm interested to see, can you see that on your screen now? I'm just interested to see who has actually been to Colorado, if you've been there more than once. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, that's great. I can see a lot of you have, I'm going to end it and share the results there. So a lot have already been, that's good to hear. But there's a high percentage of you that haven't been yet. So I really hope this inspires you today to get there one day in the future when we're able to do so. Now, for those of you who are going to watch this webinar live and the coffee break webinar series that's going to follow it, you're going to have the chance of winning some wonderful cash prizes from the Colorado Tourism Office by collecting the code words that I'm going to provide at the end of each webinar and sending them in. I will talk to you a little bit more about that later, but for now, I think we better get going on our journey through Colorado. So I'm going to actually stop sharing my video. You'll be able to focus a little more then on the presentation. Oh, situated in America's central Midwest, Colorado is a state you can tour as a single destination, which of course we highly recommend. Or due to its positioning, it's the perfect state to start or even end a multi-state itinerary with. For those of you who have clients who will be kind of looking for that diverse, outdoor, wide open space holiday in the future, Colorado offers a plethora of options. Studies through a number of key global players have recently revealed that on recovery, clients will want holidays where they're not on top of others and in the hustle and bustle of hugely populated cities. Clients will be looking for a destination that's unique and dynamic and individual and adventure-packed, yet calm and peaceful and grounded at the same time, and surrounded by beauty, sophistication, and luxury. And Colorado is the place for them. So to start today's webinar, I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on Colorado's impressive facts. If you've watched any of our prior webinars, you may already be aware of some of these facts, but if you haven't, Colorado has 4 national parks, of which there will be a dedicated coffee break webinar on the 15th of June, 8 national monuments, 8 historic railroads, which is actually going to be the focus of this presentation, so more to come on those soon, 26 scenic and historic byways, 30 wonderful and natural hot springs, again the topic of a short coffee break webinar on the 22nd of June, 41 state parks, 58 14ers, that's mountain peaks in excess of 14,000 feet or 4,267 meters for us Aussies and Kiwis. It's home to 28 ski areas, which I'll talk about in more detail in another webinar on the 29th of June. And that'll include the world famous ski resorts of Aspen, Vail, Breckenridge, Steamboat, Telluride, and more. Now, add to these impressive numbers, Colorado is home to 960 wildlife species, 1,500 ghost towns. Yes, I know, eek. It houses the headwaters of 7 major rivers spanning over 9,600 kilometres and has 11 spectacular waterfalls, the highest being Bridal Veil Falls near Telluride at 112 metres. And what's not on this slide, but definitely worth mentioning, Colorado has over 300 craft breweries, more than 70 distilleries, and more than 130 wineries. All of this packed into a state that boasts 300 days of sunshine. So that gives you a whole lot of sunny time to enjoy what's on offer. What I wanted to do, as this is the first of the series of the webinars, it's slightly longer than the rest. The others will all be about 5 minutes. So today I wanted to focus on the newest and the most exciting things that are happening in Colorado right now. And there's 3 of them. The first is the brand new Olympic and Paralympic Museum. With iconic architecture, this museum and Hall of Fame, which opened in July last year and is located in downtown Colorado Springs, embodies the values, history, and experience of the Olympic and Paralympic Games. We highly recommend a visit, as this place is like no other. It's one of the most accessible and accommodating museums on the planet, offering world-class experience regardless of physical ability or cognitive differences. Its cutting-edge technology curates a unique journey for each guest on every visit, meaning you enter your Olympic preferences on entry and your tour of the museum will be completely different to the next person's. You can try your hand at racing Usain Bolt by hologram or one of the many other digital experiences available. The second and extremely popular already tour component is the introduction of the Rocky Mountaineer train route from Denver to Moab, or vice versa, with a stopover in Glenwood Springs. I won't say too much on this now because, as you know, I have Amber Wilson from Rocky Mountaineer on the line to talk to us about her shiny new tour. But first of all, I thought we can't talk about shiny new things without first discussing the old. And that brings me to Colorado's historic railroads. Just south of Denver is our third most exciting thing. It's Pikes Peak Cog Railway. It's been closed for a swanky upgrade and has just reopened in May this year. This cog railway has been climbing Pikes Peak since 1891, and it's one of the most unique experiences in the whole of the USA. We proudly boast that this is the world's highest cog railway, and it takes you right up to the dynamic new visitor centre on the summit of Pikes Peak, 14,115 feet high. Along this 9-mile journey, you'll be treated to spectacular 360-degree views of the Pikes Peak region, from the sweeping plains to the continental divide and snow-capped Rockies. If you like, you can hike up Pikes Peak and ride this railway back down, or take the train to the summit and mountain bike back down along the twisting Pikes Peak Highway. Not for the faint-hearted on those switchbacks, let me tell you. Towards the southwest corner, you'll find Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. This coal-fired steam-powered locomotive runs 200 feet above the Animas River, featuring views of majestic peaks as it passes through the remote canyons and wilderness of the Animas Gorge and the San Juan National Forest. This wonderful railroad has been transporting passengers for 140 years. But this morning, you don't have to just take my word for it. I'd now like to introduce Jennifer Bartlett Enriquez from Durango, who's going to give us a quick rundown on this fabulous area and historic railroad. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks so much, Amanda. I greatly appreciate being able to chat about the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad and our beautiful area. As you mentioned, we are located in Southwest Colorado, the Four Corners area where Colorado meets with New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. It's an area of incredibly beautiful, rugged beauty, really where the desert and the mountains meet. And lots of mines that are located above Durango and Silverton and Telluride, which is how the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad was founded in 1881, was to bring down the ore from the mines down to town and to be able to be processed. And both Durango and Silverton were towns that were founded as support towns for the railroad. Well, we are incredibly lucky to have this beautiful piece of living history and these two beautiful towns. There are different ways you can explore the train and the towns. So really, the best way that I think you should is the scenic round trip, where it is 3.5 hours each way, and you can either take the train from Silverton to Durango or the other way around. And if you don't want to go round trip for 7 hours on the train, you can cut it short and take the coach, which then is only an hour and a half to shorten the ride, but it goes along this beautifully scenic San Juan byway, which is also considered the $1 million highway because it took over $1 million to actually build this highway through the mountains. The trip is narrated, and it's a great way to explore the train. The other way is the Cascade Canyon Express that runs into November. That is a 5-hour round trip, but you don't actually get to Silverton on that trip. You do get off the train, you get to walk along the river and so on. Um, and then that Cascade Canyon also runs in the winter as the Cascade Canyon Express all winter long. But let's talk a little bit about how you experience the actual train, because it is really an incredible experience. You will be riding along the Animas River all the way between Silverton and Durango. Beautiful forest, the San Juan's Forest, National Forest, but then also going over bridges. You'll be going through canyons and lots of nature. You'll probably be seeing quite a bit of wildlife as well. But another thing to know about are different events that are surrounding the train or taking place on the train. Most well known is the Iron Horse bike race, the Iron Horse Classic, where literally you have cyclists racing against the Iron Horse, the train, as they leave Durango and start riding into the valley outside and going up the pass. And whoever wins typically gets to celebrate with one of our Colorado beers in our local breweries. Other than that, the blues train, typically May and August, great local blues musician. The wine train with great local wine. And then in the winter, the Polar Express, great fun for kids. Also to know about is soaring tree ziplining adventures, where you take the train about an hour outside of Durango in the soaring tree adventures own wagon with their own attendee. And then as you get off the train, you actually zip line through 100 feet tall lodgepole pines over the river, over the train tracks. It's really magical. But let's talk a little bit about the town of Durango, because the train and the train depot really are our focal point. Again, it's an old Western town, and you feel it everywhere downtown, between the Western architecture of the historic Strater Hotel or the General Palmer Hotel. At the end of Main Street is where the train depot is, with its amazing train museum that is free to the public and open Thursdays through Sunday. But then Durango is surrounded by incredible beauty and easy access to national parks. Mesa Verde National Park is only within 1 hour, but then you have beautiful waterfalls like Cascade Canyon. You have incredible hiking and biking trails. And then Animas River that goes right through downtown, which all the water sports you could think of. So a lot to see and do. Thanks so much, Amanda.
Oh, thank you, Jen. That's great. Tips and tricks from a true local. The blues and the wine trains sound right up my alley. I don't know about anybody here, but whether you're a train fanatic or not, there's something nostalgic about hopping on a cog railway or a steam train. It's just the greatest. And the scenery here, spectacular. If you want to wow your clients, make sure to include this ride and any of the other trains, actually. So I'll talk you through the rest of our historic trains. Southwest of Colorado Springs, the Royal Gorge Route Railroad is a heritage railroad located in Cannon City that transits the Royal Gorge on a 2-hour scenic and historic train ride along what's considered to be the most famed portion of the former Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad. This 1950s era train departs and returns to Santa Fe Depot in Cannon City daily. Comfy panoramic view cars open to the spectacular walls of the Royal Gorge beside the fast-flowing Arkansas River. This train carries passengers under one of the world's highest suspension bridges, the Royal Gorge Suspension Bridge. And you can actually enjoy a gourmet lunch, dinner, or jump aboard the first train of the day at 9:15 a.m. for breakfast. West of Denver, the Leadville, Colorado and Southern Railroad is the ideal route for seeing Colorado in all its autumn glory. Travel into the Continental Divide through hairpin turns along the upper Arkansas River Valley. Photography and nature buffs will adore the colourful wildflower and fall foliage, and this spectacular 2.5-hour railroad trip promises incredible views of two of Colorado's highest peaks, Mount Albert and Mount Massive. Kids have the chance to meet the engineer, and you can even take advantage of an engine or caboose ride. The Georgetown Loop Railroad was built to connect the mining towns of Georgetown and Silver Plume in the 1880s. And this engineering marvel takes you high over Devil's Gate Bridge and winds you through the scenic Rocky Mountain Pathway. Passengers can disembark to tour the historic Lebanon silver mine at roughly the halfway point on this trip. And west of Colorado Springs, you'll find Cripple Creek and Narrow Victor Gorge Gauge Railroad. This family-owned railroad provides photo ops and views of Pikes Peak and old mining camps, as well as the opportunity to hear the train's whistle ricochet off the walls of Echo Valley. The ride's fully narrated, with the conductor sharing wonderful facts about the history and the scenery around Cripple Creek. Departing from an 1894 vintage depot, the brightly painted Cripple Creek and Victor Narrow Gauge Railroad runs along 4 miles of track as it takes passengers through the forested high country scenery. The Cumbres and Tultic Scenic Railroad is America's longest and highest narrow gauge railroad. Situated in central south of the state, the coal-fired steam engine carries you through steep mountain canyons, high desert, and lush meadows as you zigzag along the Colorado and New Mexico border. This 1880 vintage line is actually best known for its appearance in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's a National Historic Landmark on wheels. The Cumbres and Tultic steams 64 miles along the Rocky Mountain cliffs, through the narrow Tultic Gorge, over 10,000-foot Cumbres Pass, and through the miles of evergreen and aspen forest with absolutely stunning views in every direction. There are several special trains throughout the year, including the Moonlight Dinner Run and the Cinder experience, designed especially for kids. You can choose to ride in the Victorian elegance of the parlour car, the newly restored deluxe car, or the budget-friendly coach car. Either way, a delicious buffet lunch is included. And that is it for our history lesson today. It's now time to get excited about what we feel is the USA's best new product, and one that our market will most definitely resonate with. The very luxurious and opulent Rockies to the Red Rock with Rock Route with Rocky Mountaineer. Here is Amber Wilson from Rocky Mountaineer to run us through their newest product. Hi again, Amber. Thanks for joining
Amanda.
us.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, yep, you're perfect.
There is really something quite romantic about train travel, and I've just learned a lot of things about the trains lines in the beautiful Colorado. So it's fantastic to be in that company. Now, thanks for inviting me to be here to chat to everybody today. Rockies to the Red Rocks is the brand new route just announced by Rocky Mountaineer.
An extraordinary place deserves an extraordinary way to see it. Our newest route, Rockies to the Red Rocks. brings 30 years of Rocky Mountaineer's world-class service to the stunning desert vistas of the American Southwest. Traveling from the vibrant Denver, Colorado, past some of nature's wonders, vast canyons, chromatic deserts, and panoramic views, to the mesmerizing red rock landscapes that twist through the bright blue sky. It's rail travel at its best. After all, if you're going to see an extraordinary place, you want an extraordinary way to see it.
So a lot of you would know Rocky Mountaineer, and I'm sure, have carried a lot of your guests, and maybe some of you have traveled with us in the past through the Canadian Rockies. So 2020 was actually our 30th birthday. So for 30 years, we've been traveling guests through the Canadian Rockies, and have always been looking for a new destination to align with what we do so well in Canada, and take the amazing Rocky Mountaineer experience to somewhere else. And that's where we landed on Rockies to the Red Rocks, which is, as mentioned in the video clip, between Denver, Colorado, and Moab in Utah. So the route can actually travel in either way. So guests can travel eastbound or westbound, traveling between the two compelling destinations of Denver and Moab. The route showcases the very best scenery of the Southwest United States. So from the mountain passes and dramatic canyons of Colorado to the rolling desert rocks of Utah, the train passes through some remote and sparsely populated landscapes over this journey. And many of the sites that the guests will see while you're traveling are not accessible by car. So it really is quite remarkable views, and quite exclusive views as well. And interestingly, about 60% of our journey does follow along the mighty Colorado River. So you can see there that they're really fabulously well connected to get in and out of the destinations. So the travel, as I said, you can either go eastbound or westbound. We're going to have a look at the eastbound route today. The westbound just mirrors it, but in reverse. So the train will depart Moab on the first of the two-day journey to Denver. We are a luxury all-day sightseeing service. The route between Moab and Glenwood Springs is where your guests will stay overnight. We don't sleep on the train on Rocky Mountaineer. It takes approximately 312 kilometers. So it's about 5 hours that you'll spend on the train. We travel just under 50 kilometers an hour. And we like to call this Kodak speed because there is so many things to see. Tip number one is make sure you've got your camera at the ready, looking for the scenery, the mountain vistas, desert cliffs, the rock formations. The scenery is really quite spectacular in this part of the world. Here's a shot here of Mount Garfield. They call this the Book Cliffs, and I can't see it, and maybe I'm just not being creative enough, but they say it's named by the way the very craggy tops of the peaks look like some stacked books, but I don't know about that. So eastbound, some of the highlights we'll see, as I just showed you, the Book Cliffs, the La Salle Mountains. We travel through some huge, stunning scenery of canyon areas. And as I mentioned, along the Colorado River, Ruby Canyon and the Arches National Park can be viewed from the train. Day two, after your guests have had their sleep in Glenwood Springs, they wake up nice and early and refreshed. Not too early though, the train doesn't depart until around about 9 o'clock in the morning, where breakfast will be served. And we cross the Continental Divide, and of course we have a cheers and a toast to the journey as we're crossing into the next state. All of the meals on board will be locally inspired. So dinner on day one, lunch on day two, really are heralding to the areas that we're traveling through. So today we will visit, today is canyon scenery. Here's a shot here of Red Canyon. So by the end of the days, your guests would have seen Byers Canyon, Gore Canyon, Red Canyon, Glenwood Canyon. There really is spectacular scenery, as I mentioned. So our guests on board Rocky Mountaineer will travel in Silverleaf service in the US. So a lot of you will know Silverleaf, and Silverleaf, there's a shot here of what the train looks like. Silverleaf is a single level coach. So guests will be wined and dined on that locally inspired cuisine and beautiful wines and drinks from the comfort of their own seat. So you can see there is still spectacular views, a lot of glass area that the guests won't miss a thing as they're traveling on Silverleaf. Now, for a lot of you that do know Rocky Mountaineer, and the reason that we don't have gold leaf, which I know a lot of you would know, and it's simply for the fact is that because we're traveling through some tunnels and regions, the height of the gold leaf domes is just too tall to take them down into the US. So here's a shot of some guests really enjoying that Silverleaf service. And as I mentioned, being wined and dined at their seat. It really is truly such a social experience. The other beautiful thing with Rocky Mountaineer is, of course, we have our culinary team on board. We also have onboard hosts. And our onboard hosts are there to share the history of where we're traveling through, pointing out and giving details of these beautiful canyons and gorges that we're passing, and making sure, of course, that the guests are having a wonderful time. And here's just a nice little review of Silverleaf, and it says the whole experience of the Silverleaf service on board Rocky Mountaineer was magical. The service food information was first class and delivered by friendly and professional staff. We loved every minute of it from the time we boarded the train. Try it yourself. So that's from a guest who's traveled with us in Canada on the Silverleaf service and couldn't talk highly enough about the product. So as I mentioned, we start or finish in Moab. Your guests will overnight in the beautiful, beautiful city of Glenwood Springs, and then they will finish or start their journey in Denver, Colorado, depending which way they want to travel and what they're wanting to add on pre and post to their Rocky Mountaineer journey. And here's a shot of an example of one of the hotels that is available in Glenwood Springs. So your guests will be extremely comfortable. So the Rockies to the Red Rocks does start in August of this year. Sadly, none of us can get up there and travel, but it won't be too far away, hopefully. And we are looking forward to welcoming all the Australian and New Zealand guests into the 2022 season. We do have packages available, and they are the rail journey for the 2 days and 1 night. And then they have pre and post options available. We have a self-drive package. We have a package which takes our guests out to Las Vegas, which we're anticipating to be quite popular. So a lot of different options are there. We also have a lot of flexibility now in our booking because, of course, we are in different times, and we do have some risk-free deposits, fully refundable deposits. We're allowing date changes, future travel. If your guests do have future travel credit with Rocky Mountaineer in the Canadian Rockies, they can transfer this down and use it here on this route instead if they would prefer. So we are trying to be as flexible as we can there with a lot of different options. But I am really so thrilled to be here this morning. Thank you very much. We are really, really looking forward to giving that world-class award-winning Rocky Mountain service down into the American Southwest, and cannot wait to welcome your guests and hopefully see some of you on board in the not too distant future. Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, oh, thank you so much, Amber. I cannot wait to travel on that luxury service one day. It's so exciting that we have this brilliant product in America and the state of Colorado in particular. Yeah, as I said, can't wait. I'm so excited. Moving right along, for Colorado, if you need any assistance with booking itineraries, want copy or images for campaigns, or just want some general advice on trip ideas for self-drive holidays, don't hesitate to contact us. We have so much information and we are super friendly and we love to assist agents. The details are on the final slide of myself and Kylie Kay, the account director. So feel free to screenshot that, but I will email you anyway. I'll send you a follow-up email after this because what I will need to include is the fun part. On the screen now is the first of 6 code words. So please send this code word to me on the link I will email to you very shortly, within the next hour. The 7th person to send this code word back will win a $50 Visa gift card. So then after that, each of the 5 5-minute coffee break pre-recorded webinars will be released every Tuesday from the 16th of June to the 13th of July via EDM, and that'll contain a YouTube link. So if anybody is not on our database, please make sure you are part of it. I'll send the link in the email to sign up if you're not. And every Tuesday, watch the 5-minute webinar, write down the code word, and then use the link in the YouTube video comments section to send in the code word. So there's a $50 gift card each week up for grabs. When it comes to the end of the series and the 6 short webinars have contained 6 code words, click the link in the final webinar on the 13th of July and you'll be able to submit a sentence which is made up from the code words and tell us in 25 words or less what you're looking forward to seeing or doing when you get to go or go back to Colorado. And then the winners of the 2 $100 gift cards and the 1 $200 gift card will be drawn on Friday, the 16th of July. Good luck, everyone. Don't forget to keep your eye on your inboxes. Contact details are on this screen for Kylie Kay, Polly Simmons, the PR manager, and myself, Amanda McCoy. Keep exploring Colorado with me. The next webinar will be released 2 weeks from today. And I want to really thank Amber for joining us and Jennifer from Durango. I hope you enjoyed everyone's presentations and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the day. Happy winter. Hope it's not too cold for everyone today and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you very much.